Hello. And I'm gonna be pretty straightforward. I'm happy that I'm not playing through a lot of these Nancy Drew games. So straight up, this is the summary of Captive Curse. Nancy Drew games, like they were getting better and better. There's a few of them that got annoying, and I'm thinking based on the ones I've seen so far that the Castle Maloror, or whatever it is, the one in Ireland. Um, I think that was the last one that mattered a lot. Um, Sorry if you guys are hearing stuff. Okay, so it was back to back bangers. It was the Castle Malloy and the Seven Ships. Those were the only ones of uh, recent summary history that have been decent. Twister sucked. Cool concept, but it's just like, man, I just really hated that. And then Waverly Academy, Gaslight Central, and all that. Actually, no. Shadow's Edge. Shadow of Water's Edge was Gaslight Central, which is like it's an anti Nancy situation. Twister was mostly just very bland. Um, Waverly Academy was fetch quest and drama. Um, Captive Curse. It's a cool setup, but basically, I had no interest in the like usually Nancy, the place she's at has a big lore with what she's collecting and what's the story behind stuff. And basically, I just had no interest in it. The only thing I kind of picked up was like bad stuff happened at the castle. That the setup is there's some girls that had some stuff and they had messages, and because it's a castle, there's secrets everywhere. That is it. The rest of the stuff, I'm like trying to read it, I did not care. The only things that really stood out to me were the people and the monster. So straight up, Nancy has been called to help Marcus Bochum, a German investor, to solve a mystery at Castle Finster's. Apparently, there's a stalker issue, and it turns out to be a Frankenstein's monster, basically. Um, so it's a cool concept. Very similar to Shadow of Water's Edge. The area, the like where we are in for this mystery, amazing. Love it. It's just I do not care. This mystery, like no matter what you're doing and what culture you're throwing in my face, it does not make up my interest for the game. Um, because like most of the things are like, yeah, it's very basic puzzles, or like you need to do some kind of encryptions and stuff. Most of this mystery just generally felt like went over my head. Even though I was sitting here for hours trying to figure out what to do about this mystery. Um, so just going into the people of this castle, there is Carl, the Burgermeister. He's kind of like the manager of the site. Um, he more or less just he doesn't like tourists, and he doesn't like the fact that they're kind of making a fool of German culture by kind of throwing in like the older outfits. Um, his entire thing, this entire game, is he's trying to make a game, and that's what he's trying to achieve. His life goal is to make a game. Um, we meet let's see here. I'm trying to find Anya. I really didn't care, like I said. There was Anya, and then there's Lucas. Lucas is a little boy who's a prankster, who's the niece of Anja, the Castellaire, or like the she's in charge of guest services. Um, and then there's an older lady. Where's her name? Renette, I think it is. So it's just like, so you have the guy who's kind of like against tourist. You have Renette, who's kind of like I'm an older person and I know the lore of what's happening and I have spooky stories to tell. And basically, it's to kind of like put you into a mood of you should actually worry about this, even though it's not going to be what it is in the end. But it's like, that generally what the old person does is like, oh, this is an old like myth or legend and it's coming for you. I'm just gonna call her the server guest because I just couldn't really pronounce her name properly. Um, she's like the nicest person in the entire castle, but the thing is, we learned that actually, I think she'll be the last person. She's the monster, right off the rip. Lucas is her nephew. He's the prankster. We get pushed into thinking he is, because one, he's the prankster. Two, we find some stilts. And like we eventually do kind of fake unmask him as the monster, but it turns out he's just playing for a prank, and then the actual monster comes by. And like, I don't think there's really anything else for him. Lucas is really just kind of like, hey, play a game with me. I want to play pranks on people. And eventually he's like one of the captives. He's a captive to like the end. And basically, the whole thing of this entire story is relationships. So Nancy's entire thing is that she and Ned are supposed to be doing something, but it gets derailed by this mystery. Ned is starting to get fed up, which realistically is understandable because she's all over the place, and like almost every single time him, the Bess and George, or the Hardy Boys have something planned where they're supposed to actually relax, a mystery shows up. And it actually puts a strain on the relationship, and like I'd say like the first quarter of it is like trying to work things out and figure out their positions, and it feels a little too quick because it's like, yes, it is nice to have people who are just like understanding of one another once the words are out there, but it's not realistic because it's just like someone who's so stressed and strained would kind of keep it in conversation for a little bit longer. And also just like Nancy, I think like most of the conversation, Nancy really doesn't add too much to it. Like, of course, she's like sorry, apologetic that things are happening and being around her, things happen, but for the most part, she's really held accountable for it because it's like some of these things are only a few days. Like, seriously, like, hey, we're going to be doing stuff for 3 whole days. Can you hold off on your mystery solving for 3 days? Like, if it's like hey, people are getting harmed and all that, yes, you'll go. But like, rain checking every single time makes I would not be her friend very long. But it's just, I felt bad for Ned. I understood Ned, and then just like basically he gives up to be like a good person about it, being like, I understand. You can't just be throwing off your mysteries and stuff. But the whole thing that I think they threw that in here, even though like I love this is that is the one concept of this game that I loved was the fact that yes, realistically Nancy is straining her relationships by constantly being in mysteries. Very similar to why I liked Shadow's Edge because it's like yes, I don't care for it being a part of the game because it's annoying, but technically people would very like locked up in avoiding Nancy's questions. Um, it's just like the thing about like after Malloy's castle, they did very good about being more realistic and like adding little things that Nancy would be dealing with. But the only thing is, aside from good environments, it's just everything else like puzzles and all that are not that great. And the fact that you bring in this thing with Ned to do what the monster, which is the service head of service, so she faked her resume to get the job, and from what I understand, is she was the ex of the investor that owns the castle or whatever, and basically she's jealous, and to get back at him, she's planning to be the monster, fake a haunting or stalking, run customers away, make it seem like it's a bad location to stay, and then like her ending was like, hey, if someone dies without getting checked, like if it's unchecked and someone dies, it would ruin the business. And I think either they were going to kill Lucas, which the fact that it's just like, I'm sorry, you were about to kill a little boy for a breakup, woman, what the hell? Crazier than stuff that has happened over the internet, but definitely the fact that it's just like that's her entire motivation. It's meant to happen, but the thing that I just didn't care for that like it's just the fact that it was a very low thing to resort to murder. And then the biggest thing that I'm a little peeved at the very end of her is that they're trying to pull. Sorry, tired, late night, long day. So it turns out, well, not turns out. She basically makes it sound like she's gonna be dealing that Nancy will eventually have to deal with her when she gets older, because it's like 20 to 30 years in the end because it's attempted murder. Um, it feels like she's gonna try to pull a seven ships, and that's the whole thing. Is like, I'm gonna come after you. I'm guessing one of these games we're gonna have a whole league of people that Nancy's pissed off, because some of these people got off pretty easy. I'm gonna bet. Like definitely the final scene. I doubt they held him because of his like oldness. I his age. I mean, not oldness. The fact that it's just kind of like he resorted to something because of like his youth. But it's just a lot of like you can't say that at least some of them only had a few years, and they definitely wouldn't come after Nancy. Not to mention like eventually some people would like it would be Lex Luthor all over again. It'd be like Manette coming out, having a bunch of money, and was like, okay, I'm gonna release you, and you're coming with me, and we're gonna go knock out Nancy. See, this one, I'm so sorry that it's all over the place. I think Water's Edge was also over the place, but it's just these games are so easy to summarize because they're uninteresting. So basically, puzzles, they're doing their thing. Atmosphere, amazing. Putting in some realism and kind of having Nancy deal with things that she would on a technical basis, understandable. I love it. But I just don't think it's all that amazing. And the fact that they've thrown Frankenstein's monster as our big thing this time, it's just woo. But I'm getting real tired. Oh, and I gotta be up for another hour and a half, I think. So, well, anyways, I'm gonna go put this up. I'm gonna see if they get better. The next one is supposed to be extremely good because Ash and Albi or something like that. It's actually based in River Heights, the hometown of Nancy, and I think we actually might be able to actually see Ned and Bess and George again. But it'd be nice to see Ned in the flesh. And in this one, Nancy's the one in the microscope because she's getting framed for burning something down, which I think we're gonna be actually. I think this is the start of like the revenge saga. Is people are starting to come back and pin stuff on Nancy or like do something to Nancy. And I bet you we're probably gonna play as somebody. We might actually be able to play as Ned because she might be getting interrogated. She may only have some very limited movements because of her being, perpetrated. Which, realistically, like, thinking about it, it's like, why would a well-known detective do such a thing? Makes no sense. So I'm just, it really needs to up its interesting factor because, man, I just don't care for half these characters. I don't care about the puzzles. I don't even care about these like legends or like backstories of the places anymore. It's like burnout. I'm dealing with burnout on this series, and while there are fun moments that make me want to continue, I'm probably going to take a long, like after all these summaries, I'm going to take a minute before I actually start talking about or playing Seven Keys, because it's not worth it. So, all right, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.